Hey guys, Eerie is here and welcome along to another video. In this video we're going to briefly touch on how we got on in last week's Nations Cup race before moving on and covering the next round of the Manufacturers Series in the Group 4 cars at Dragon Trail Gardens. If you're new around here, this channel is effectively a diary as I show you through my sim racing journey, tracking the highs and the lows along the way. My aim is to get to the top level in sim racing using the spare time that I have whilst juggling being a husband, father and having a full-time job. So if you enjoyed the video, please do give the video a like, and if you want to follow me on this journey, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. So here we are in my Ferrari F50, signed up for the race and just waiting for the 15 minutes to elapse before we can get racing. And whilst we do that, let's just touch on last week. Last time out we were at Special Stage Route X. Our SR had been destroyed prior to that race, a couple of not great ones at the Red Bull Ring, and we found ourselves in a lower lobby as a result. We finished 5th though in that one after an uneventful race. It wasn't the most exciting, but when you're documenting a journey, and the reality of GTS is that it can't all be exciting every single time. Inevitably we have uneventful races and sometimes we go through bad patches, both of which are the case for me right now, which I'm sharing with you guys. But after that race we gained 500 driver rating, and following a quick visit back to the Red Bull Ring, we're now back up to 99 SR and all set to go in this one. So my fastest time after some earlier practice was 1:29.3, which was 1.3 seconds off of the 10th best time in EMEA. It seems a long way off and it felt a long way off, but as with Interlagos a couple of videos back, this race was not suited to the Mustang at all, and there are some other things that I'll talk to you about later on, which mean that I just have to manage my own expectations here. And although I set my fastest time off camera, I'm going to take you for a tour around Dragon Trail Gardens. The reverse of the normal track, of course. It means it's a very tricky track, especially in this configuration that straddles the other Dragon Trail circuit, made famous of course by the Chicane of Death. So heading towards turn number 1, we want to start braking where those orange markers are on the right. You want to go deep into this corner because we want to clear the curb on the right but not go wide because of those barriers there. You don't want to hit those, we'll see in the race, but trust me, you just don't want to hit them. And then we're coming down to turns 3 through 6, probably the most difficult corners in the game in my view, which consists of 4 apexes that gradually get tighter. So we just want to turn in between the 2 yellow boards on the right and then slowly scrub off speed throughout. Next corner, start braking and turn at the tyre marks. I flick down to get the big beast turned in, and then it's just a case of being as quick as possible. Come down under the bridge, look for 100 metres and then slam on the anchors. Get this thing pointed down the straight and then you can floor the throttle for the long run down to another very difficult section of the track. So we're going to look here for when the tarmac changes colour. That's going to be our braking point, and then we're going to trail brake so that we straddle one sausage. We're going to do the same again so we straddle the second sausage, and then use all the track to set us up here for the final corner. When we arrive at the final corner, you want to stay off the brake. Everything in your being is going to say brake, but don't just lift off. Be careful not to run wide though, and you're looking to clip the end of the rumble strip before this run down to the line. So there you go, a lap in the Mustang around Dragon Trail Gardens 2. So now that you're familiar with the track and you know what to expect, let's move on and check out the lobby we'd be in for this one. As the lobby is revealed here, you can see that I'm in fact car number 1, meaning that I have the highest DR in the entire lobby. These are the points on offer for this one, 244 for the win, to give you a flavour of how strong this lobby is. Remember though, the best scores from only half the races you participate in are counted, so we're going to need a reasonable result here to replace our lowest current score of 178 to improve our total. What isn't going to help is that we were literally last out of the pits as we move on to the quali session. We were held in the box for an eternity, and by the time we get out, already 10% of the session is gone before we even start our own outlap. As a result, we're going to need to be quick around here on our outlap. Not ideal because we really want to be taking care of our tyres as much as possible, Plus, because of this, we're not going to have enough time to come in between laps. Because of these pressures, it's just going to be an out lap, attempt 1, and then we're going to go straight in to lap 2, rather than our usual process of coming in, getting some new boots on and going again. So attempt number 1 then. So we start off in good position. As you can see up ahead, we're close enough to get some slipstream there from the 2 cars in front. When we need it, but not too close, I hope that we'll get held up. And although we went a little wide after the crest and took it easy over the first sausage for our banker, we finished with a generally okay lap. My lap was a 1:30.702, 0.969 of a second off the leader at this point, but due to the aforementioned time restraints, we're going to jump straight into attempt number 2 here, looking to improve. So we got the corner over the crest right this time. We were 1.5 tenths down at this point, but arriving at the sausages, we're going to go for it this time. We took the first one well, but then we messed up the second one, hampering the speed I could carry into the next turn. A shame really. As a result, I come across the line not being able to improve. So I was 13th at this point, but then you see how much being last out of the pits hurt us. As those who came in and then got to have a second go on newer tyres across the line, I started falling down the order, and in the end I was pushed all the way down to 18th place. Far from ideal for a car with door number 1 on the side. Now normally you'd start on the hardest compound near the back, but I just had nothing to lose here and decided to stay on the softs and just go for it from the start, and we moved on to the race itself. So as we get underway here, the first thought I have is to be careful of these tyres. We're on the hards, which are going to be freezing, and we've got a full tank of fuel as well. So there's a big braking zone at the bottom of here, which we need to be careful of. And it's going to catch the McLaren out here at turn number 1. Keep your eye on him on the left there, but more importantly, keep your eye on the way he comes back on. So he's going to come back on the track. There's going to be a bit of contact between us there, but we managed to take the position. So we're going to go up to 17th. Everyone's now warming their tyres. I prefer to just take it easy. The yellows are out up in front because the Italian in the Aston has gone off for some reason. I didn't see why, and he's going to unghost right in front of us. So we aren't able to take the position. However, there was a bit of contact between himself and the Spaniard as they went through, and it gave the Spaniard a penalty. At this point, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. I do not want any issues at the start of a race. I think you guys know me well enough by now. I like to be ultra conservative on the first lap. So when I see this dive bomb from a different Spaniard who almost forces off the track, I take evasive action. I have to take to the grass as well to avoid the recovering Lexus, and then bang, you're going to see that I got a 4-second penalty. So pretty soul destroying and absolutely disastrous at this point to our race on lap number 1 of 20. And I'm now faced with 2 options. My first option is to lose control of my emotions, do that wiggle thing, you know what I'm talking about, and rage quit on the only opportunity that I have to race tonight, which would mean that I don't have a video to share with you guys later down the line. Or 2, I can accept it for what it is, take the challenge on the chin and see what we can make out of this unfortunate situation and show you guys what went down after this. And as you're watching this, I guess you know what choice I made. Now, I know I shouldn't have got a penalty for that, but am I surprised? Not really. There is unfortunately always at the moment a risk of an unjust penalty on GT Sport, and again, like I said in the last video, the world is going through enough right now without me adding some negativity into the mix. I've said this so many times, but I'll say it again, this is my and many others' happy place, and I am determined, no matter what happens or how badly things go, to keep the negativity at bay and keep it that way. So with the decision to crack on made and the 4-second penalty served, to show you in how bad a position I am currently, even the people who have come in already to get off their hards presumably are already ahead of me. Now this one is going to be an uphill battle from here, and whilst we prepare for that, let me introduce the race. So this race is the next round of the Manufacturers Series. Following on from Interlagos in the last round, we have 20 laps to do here, so quite a long race, expecting for it to last about 35 minutes, in contrast to the last Nations Cup race, which was under 10 minutes. Now, fuel won't be a problem here, the multipliers simply aren't high enough to be a factor at all, but interestingly, And excitingly, we have the soft, medium and hard tyres available, and we must use them all at some point during the race. Otherwise, you get the dreaded 1 minute penalty. Now, I've done some practice, but in the time trial there's no tyre wear. So I have no idea at this point how long the softs are going to last. I do know though that I only want to be on the hards for 1 lap. So at some point, once I know how long the softs will last, I'm just going to double that, get onto the mediums until the penultimate lap, and then on the hards for that final lap. Well, that's the plan anyway. Things though, as we all know, could change and most likely will. Moving ahead to lap number 3 here, my tyres are starting to feel a little bit worn and I'm going to get overtaken into the hairpin. So I'm down to 17th. I do try the cutback, but there's a bit of accidental contact. Nothing major, no penalties thankfully, so we're okay. I do decide though I'd try and be a bit of a nuisance and not make myself that easy to pass. So I end up going side by side, coming through the sausages. I have the inside through the first part, but then just give up the position through the second part. Luckily actually, because he was going to come right across my face. So down to 17th now, but not too worried about that. It's still early in the race here, and all those different tyre compounds that everyone's using means there are a whole host of strategies people could be on, and we just need to remain as consistent as we can be, stick to our game plan and see where we are when it all shakes out. So if nothing else, at least we're being consistent, and through this consistency we actually gain back the position we just lost, as the Spaniard ahead gets it wrong coming through the tricky 4-apexed left-hander. Easily done to be honest, and we take 16th as he runs wide at the top of the hill. Through our consistency here on lap number 6, we gain yet another position. Again, through something quite easily done, the Frenchman clips the wall after running wide coming out of turn number 2. He's going to have a big accident and we take 15th off him. Now this lap is going to be our in lap. The tyres feel at this point that they've gone about as far as I'm comfortable going on them, so we know now at least, for me, they last 6 laps. So moving to the end of the lap, it's time for us to come in, but rather than putting on another pair of softs like I said I was going to at the start of the video, I actually decided to put on the hards. I wanted to get those out of the way. I just felt, to be honest, I wanted to be on the faster tyres at the end of the race because we're not as far behind as I thought we would be. So I'm going to be on these for 1 lap, then get rid of them by pitting again at the end of this lap. I just need to try and lose as little a time as possible and keep it on the black stuff whilst I nurse it round for this quick but very slow in lap. So after our horrendously slow in stroke out lap complete, it's time for us to come in again, and we're going to move on to the mediums now. So knowing how long the softs last, we're going to stay on these until 6 laps from the end. The car should be lighter with the fuel burn, so the softs that we move on to will feel even better at the end. So we're going to come out of the pits in 18th here, but then we're going to move up to 17th as the pole in the Jag has an issue. For this stint, I just want to keep my head down and pump out the lap, staying consistent, staying safe before coming in for those last set of softs, at which point in theory, as I previously mentioned, we should be at our quickest. Now, whilst we're on this stint, I wanted to ask you guys something. Is it just me, or has COVID made everybody faster, or am I just getting slower? Manufacturers, as I know, is a bit of a luck of the draw situation. Some tracks like this, your car is just not suited to, but other tracks like Monza, for example, really suits this car. But even on the dailies, I'm finding myself quite far off the pace right now, well further than I would normally expect. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section down below. Has anybody else noticed that? Or maybe it's just me, but either way, I kind of go through these cycles if I'm honest. The more content I put out, the slower I find myself, which is fairly simple when you sit back and think about it. If I spend my spare time editing rather than practicing, of course there's going to be a loss in performance. So I'm going to set aside some practice time for the next one, some serious practice time I mean. I'm going to prep for it properly, then I'm going to share the results as always with you guys on the channel. To find out whether I've just been slower because everybody else has been getting faster, or whether it's because I've let my preparation slip. Now, I don't hide the fact that I find solo practice mega boring, but I'm going to suck it up this week and see what I can do when I prep at the next race, which is the Nordschleife. It will be an interesting comparison because it was on the dailies a few weeks ago and I didn't do very well. So let's see if the extra prep does help. I'm sure it will do, but it'd be interesting to see by how much. Jumping ahead to lap number 12, well, lap number 13 now actually, and you're going to see that we've made up a couple of positions after overtaking a couple of people in the pits. Now, I've just been cracking away on these medium tyres, and as you can see here, they're pretty worse for wear. So in an identical move to the one earlier on in the race, we're going to get overtaken down at the hairpin. Now, I fight it a little bit, I don't fight it too much to be honest, because it's almost time to come in. And on the very next lap, we come in for the final time and put on the softs for these final 6 laps of the race. I come out of the pits in 17th, and as all of the pit stops play out in these closing laps, we're going to find out whether we've made up for our poor quali position and unfortunate penalty or not. Lap 18 then, we've made up a couple more positions as 2 more come in. We're going to come out right behind a fellow Brit in the Viper. Oh, how I'd love to be in a Viper right now. We're both going to run wide, but he runs more wide and we're going to get a run on him to take 14th. He just indicates there to say go that way. They've come off their softs onto their hards, so they're just nursing this one home as we did earlier on in the race. So we're up to 14th now. Not bad considering really, and this is where our softs came into play. We've done our time on the hards that the guys behind us are currently doing. We now have the lightest car as it's possibly been throughout the race with the best tyre compound. I like to do this so I'm in a position to either attack or defend. And for us, the way things are after all the pit stops, we're in a perfect position to defend. I want to use these tyres to consolidate my position now and bring home this 14th place. A much higher position than I thought I would be in, considering the start we had. And as we rejoin the action here on the final lap, that was the way it was going to end. We pulled a good gap to the drivers behind and we come out of the final corner to bring home 14th place. So we went up 4 places, which I was pleasantly surprised with considering our pace in this one and that penalty at the start. The points obviously aren't going to help us here. We only got 112, so it's not going to improve our total, but I still feel quite proud about that performance. As I said earlier, I could have quit, but I stuck with it and came home. So if anything, it was character building. I'll put it down to that. So all in all, as I say, happy with that one despite the result, and I'm off to practice now for the next round of the manufacturers at the Nordschleife. I'm excited as I've actually put some actual time aside to properly prepare for this, so I hope you join me in the next video to see how I get on. So guys, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please do give the video a like and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already, with those notification bells turned on. Have a great week of racing guys, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.